مصطفى بلغ مقاصدنا. Oh my Creator, oh Allah, fulfill our aims in life, Allah. Forgive our sins, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, the most gracious. Oh Allah, the most gracious. Ya Wasi al-Karami. Oh Allah, the most gracious.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله الأمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're still discussing the signs of the hour, and last week we spoke about a number of them, and we are only studying the minor signs. The major signs, inshallah, if Allah prolongs in our lives, we will try our level best to go through some of them, if not all, next week, inshallah. So, among the minor signs that the Prophet ﷺ told us about is the appearance of false and fake prophets, imposters who claim to be prophets in Islam. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, the hour would not come until approximately, the Prophet says, approximately 30 imposters in my ummah would appear, all of them claiming to be the messenger of Allah Azza wa Jal. In this hadith, the Prophet did not give an exact figure. He said approximately. In another authentic hadith, the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, in my ummah, in my followers, there will be 27 liars and imposters. 4 of them are women. So it's 23 men and 4 women, all claiming to be prophets and messengers. And I, the Prophet says, alayhi salam, and I am the seal of prophethood, and there is no prophet after me. In the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there was Musaylim al-Kadhdhab. And also in the time of the Tabi'een, there was Abu al-Aswad al-Insi. And there was Sijah, who was a female. And there were a lot, such as Al-Mukhtar al-Thaqafi, and other imposters, as other fake prophets and messengers. And if you read their biography, and if you read what they brought to the ummah, you'd laugh of how ridiculous the words they claimed that these were the words of Allah Azza wa Jal, subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was a lie, and a lot of them, not a lot, all of them were exposed, and people knew that they were fake prophets, as the Prophet ﷺ told us about. One would say, what about recent days? Do we have any of them fake and imposters, fake prophets and messengers? Yes. You have, about a century ago, Mirza Hussein ibn Ali, who claimed prophethood in Iran about a century ago, and he called himself Baha'uddin, or Baha'ullah, and his followers are known as the Baha'is. And also in India, there was a man by the name of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad al-Qadiani. He appeared in Qadian in India, and his followers are known as the Qadianis or the Ahmadis. Every scholar that we know of has rendered him as a kafir, an apostate, and an impostor, and he claimed that he was a prophet. And this is sufficient, this is enough. You don't have to listen to anything else. But he also brought things to what he claims to be his own religion, so he abrogated jihad. Because he was made by the conqueror of India, by the British. So he was a puppet. So they gave him the ideas, they gave him the money, they gave him all what he needed, providing that he would do his level best to stop the jihad against the aggressor, against the occupier. So he came and said, jihad is abrogated. Why? Because Great Britain now is your wali al-amr. They are your leaders and you have to follow them. He also abrogated and cancelled Hajj to Mecca, and he changed it into Qadian. Maybe this was a good source of income to him at the time. And he believes in reincarnation, so he believes that Allah Azza wa Jal subhanahu wa ta'ala, may Allah Azza wa Jal be purified of what this infidel is saying about him. He said that Allah Azza wa Jal can come into human form, and he said that Allah Azza wa Jal may have begotten sons, and that he, this Qadiani, was the begotten son of Allah Azza wa Jal. He falsified and rejected the fact that the Prophet ﷺ was the seal of the prophethood, and he opened the door to all prophets of all kinds and different sorts till the Day of Judgment. So you can have like a gazillion prophets and messengers, no problem for him. And the funny thing is that there are still existing strong links and relationships with Israel, because it was Israel that opened for them the centers and the schools. What is the objective? Definitely to attack Islam. And no matter what they do, Islam will prevail and Islam will remain on top, regardless of their relentless efforts in undermining Islam. Israel opened to them the centers and the schools and helped in publishing their books and pamphlets to be spread worldwide. And not only that, they helped them in publishing a magazine in their name. And if you look at their centers around the world, beautiful monuments, but no beef. Nobody goes there. No one is there, because they have a lot of money and they can build a lot of centers, and you wonder, where are they getting the money from? Is it the petrodollars? Definitely not. It is from Israel and from those who want to undermine Islam. What is the rule on the Baha'is and the Qadianis? Are they considered to be Muslim? Anyone, and I repeat this, anyone who doubts their Islam is not a Muslim. They are kafir. You cannot marry from them. And if you're married to one of them and he is openly saying that I'm a Baha'i or a Qadiani, your marriage contract is valid and you're living in fornication and adultery. You cannot inherit them. If they slaughter an animal, you cannot eat its meat. Everything they do is not related to Islam, and this has to be made public so that people would know the religion. Islam is well known. There are things that if you do, you become a Muslim. But there are things if you do, it would nullify your Islam. And a part of these things, definitely thinking that the Prophet ﷺ is not the seal of the prophethood, as mentioned in the Quran and as mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Among the signs that the Prophet told us ﷺ that will take place as signs of the hour, the hadith of Umar ibn Khattab, when Jibreel, peace be upon him, came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked him about the hour and its signs. So the Prophet ﷺ said to him, when he said, then tell me about the signs, he said, the slave girl will give birth to her mistress or master, depending on the translation, and you'll see the barefoot, naked, destitute herdsmen competing in constructing lofty buildings. And this had taken place. And what is the meaning that a slave girl will give birth to her master or mistress? Scholars have a different interpretation. One of them is that we all know that in Islam, a man is allowed to have intercourse with his concubine, with his slave girl. And slaves are sold and bought. This is not only in Islam, it's in all religions. And this is a fact. But Islam came to liberate the slaves, unlike other religions. So though there is only one source of slavery in Islam, unlike other religions. In other religions, you can abduct someone in the desert and make him your slave. You can buy someone's children if he doesn't have money and he needs the cash, so you buy them off them. This is all unacceptable in Islam, and this is not permissible. The only source of slavery in Islam is through wars against the non-Muslims. If they are abducted, if they are imprisoned, we don't have anything such as prisoners of war. They would become slaves. And when they become slaves, they live with us, they are treated well. We are not allowed to even spank them or hit them or slap them. It's completely forbidden in Islam. We must feed them as we eat, and we must clothe them as we wear. So you can barely tell that they're a slave, first of all. Second of all, in Islam, so many things you find in Islam that the expiation of such an act is to free a slave. So if a person sleeps with his wife during the day of Ramadan while they were fasting, they have to free 2 slaves. If someone says to his wife, I will not come close to you because I feel that you are like my mother, so wallahi I will not come close to you. He has to, before having intimacy, he has to free a slave. If someone driving on the road and by accident he kills someone, or he has a car accident and the passenger next to him dies, it's an accident, he did not kill him, it's not considered to be manslaughter, because he did not kill him. It's not with his capacity or grasp or intention. Then for Allah Azza wa Jal to accept his repentance, he has to free a slave. Not only that, if I say, wallahi, tomorrow I'm not gonna go to your house and have lunch with you, and I change my mind, what to do? Free a slave. So many things in Islam that if you do this, free a slave. Do this, free. Not only that, there is encouragement from Allah Azza wa Jal. The Prophet tells us, whoever frees a slave for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah will free each limb of that slave from your limbs from hellfire. So because I freed the whole body, then my whole body will be freed from hellfire. Tell me, where can you find in other religions such a beautiful way of treating slaves? However, if someone has a slave girl and he has intercourse with her, and she brings or she gets him a baby, this means that this slave girl cannot be given away, cannot be inherited, and cannot be sold. Meaning that because she delivered a baby, this baby made her free, and she cannot be free until her owner, her master, dies. So scholars say that what is meant by the slave girl will give birth to her mistress or master, meaning that when her master has intercourse and she gets a boy or a girl, then this boy or a girl, when they grow up, they will own their mother. So this slave girl has given birth to her mistress or to her master. And another interpretation would be that in times of prosperity, when a person has a child from his slave girl, instead of abiding to the sunnah by not selling her, he would sell her. And time would run and she would be sold from one house to the other until the son grows up and then buys his mother. So he would be actually the owner of his own mother. And some scholars said that this means that the slave girl is the actual free mother who is mistreated by her son as if she is a slave girl. So this is one interpretation, that scholars say that at the end of time, because people would be so weak in their iman, people would treat their mothers badly as if the mothers are not their free mothers, but they are slave girls, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. As for the second part of the signs, when you will see the barefoot, naked, destitute herdsmen competing in constructing lofty buildings, this is crystal clear in Arabia. Because 150 years ago, all the inhabitants of Arabia were herdsmen. They had camels, they had sheep, and they had nothing. They were poor, they were destitute, and they did not have enough clothing to cover their bodies because of their poverty. And nowadays, they are so filthy rich that they are competing in buildings that they construct. So you hear in this area the highest skyscraper in the world, and in another close by country we will go like 10 meters higher than yours so that we would compete with you. And you find people competing and constructing buildings and beautifying it, but from the inside they're hollow, they're empty, they don't have religion. That is why in so many so-called countries you find everything that is not related to Islam. You go to these countries, Arab countries, and you enter them, you find bars, you find discotheques, you find churches, and the mosques, you find them in very isolated places, and the people are very proud not to be practicing. And so many expats exposing themselves, selling themselves, doing whatever they want, and nobody is talking against this. All what they care about is the highest building, the biggest bicycle, the widest airport, etc. And from the inside, it's hollow. It is like Allah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the hypocrites. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and when you look at them, their bodies please you. This happens. And when they speak, you listen to their words. They are as blocks of wood propped up. They think that every cry, every shout is against them. They are the enemies, so beware of them. This is the description of the hypocrites. Now, do you want to be like the hypocrites? Having beautiful buildings, beautiful cars, beautiful clothing, but from the inside, you're hollow, you're empty. We don't see you in Fajr prayer, we don't see you in Asr prayer, we don't see you in circles of knowledge, we don't see your women, daughters, wives covered up properly, we don't see any traces of Islam on you. What kind of Islam are you practicing if you don't pray on time and if you don't become committed to Islam? This is something that we should pay attention to. Among the signs of the hour, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, hadith Auf ibn Malik, may Allah be pleased with him, he said that the Prophet told me ﷺ, anticipate 6 signs before the day of the judgment. And among them he said, the availability of wealth and money to the extent that when you give a man 100 dinar, he would not accept it except by revoking it and rejecting it. He wants this. He's not happy with it. He is so angry because it's so little. And in the other authentic hadith, the Prophet said, ﷺ, give charity. So he's talking to his companions, give charity now, before it's too late. Why? The Prophet says, ﷺ, give charity because soon a man would take his charity and he would walk around the streets looking for someone to give it to him. And when he gives it to someone, that someone would say, oh, if you brought it yesterday, I would have taken it, but today I have no need for it. And the Prophet says, and he would not find anyone to give it to. So there will come a time that wealth will be so well spread among the people that no one would accept to take a charity. So when is this time? Some scholars say that this time had already taken place at the time of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, the caliph of the Umayyah clan, and he was the grandson of Umar ibn Khattab. May Allah be pleased with him. They said that he ruled for 2 years plus, but fairness and justice was so established in the Muslim world that people did not accept charity. They had enough. I have enough money. If someone has a lot of money and another person gives him money as charity, he would not accept it. He said, I don't need it. I can give you money as charity if you wish, but I don't take charity. I have enough. Other scholars say that this time did not come yet. It will come at the time of Al-Mahdi and at the time of Isa ibn Maryam, peace be upon him, Jesus Christ. And this is not yet had taken place. Among the signs that the Prophet ﷺ had told us about and had spoken to us about is a sign that, or signs that we can find in this authentic hadith. Imam Ahmad in his Musnad. said that the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, just before the hour, there are a number of signs. One, greeting specific people. And I will explain these, inshallah, in detail, if time permits, inshallah. Two, the spread of commerce and trade to the extent that a woman would help her husband in his trade. Three, severing the next of kin or your kinship. 4 and 5, false testimony and withholding the testimony of truth. Now, if you look at this hadith, you'd find things are crystal clear. Taslimul khassa, or specifically greeting individuals. This was at the time of the companions, may Allah be pleased with them. What is the meaning of specifically greeting the individuals? Meaning that if I come to a room and there are like 10 people, and I specifically go to Abdullah and I say, Assalamu alaikum Abdullah. So I greet only Abdullah and I neglect the 9. I should have said, Assalamu alaikum to all of them, and they would answer back, and then I would greet or talk to Abdullah. This happened at the time of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, when someone entered the masjid and specifically addressed him by saying, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdul Rahman. And Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. I believe. The Prophet told us that there will come a time where this would happen. So this had already taken place, and it's taking place until the Day of Judgment. So many times people only specifically greet someone and excluding everyone else, and as the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam. The second is the spreading of trade and commerce. And this indicates that people are not working in agriculture and farming, they're not working in handicrafts, and they're not working also in industrial or producing industrial items. All what they care about is to obtain and sell. So there isn't a lot of productivity, yet this is happening at the moment. Every individual is trying their level best to engage in some sort of investment, selling and buying and commerce, so that they would increase their income and they would gain more and more money. Not only that, the Prophet is telling us that the woman would help her husband, and this is found. Long ago, women would sit home, do nothing, except take care of their children and their homes. So this would relieve the man from every worry he has the minute he enters home. Nowadays, we find that, and I've been getting a lot of phone calls from sisters that work with their husbands, and some of them work without pay. One of the sisters called me and she said, I'm my husband's secretary and he doesn't give me any money for that. So all of this is part of what the Prophet ﷺ told us that would happen and take place. Also, severing kinship, severing your next of kin, qati'atul rahim. And the Prophet tells us in the authentic hadith that Al-Bukhari and Muslim both reported that on the Day of Judgment, that is way back in history, when Allah Azza wa Jal created all the creation, Ar-Rahim, kinship, stood up. And one would say, is kinship a human being? It's not. It's a creature of Allah Azza wa Jal. Like, so with death. On the Day of Judgment, the Prophet told us that the death would become in the form of a big bison, a big bull. So Allah Azza wa Jal give forms to whatever He wants from His creation. So the kinship stood up and said, Oh Allah, this is the position of those seeking refuge in You from being severed. So Allah Azza wa Jal told the kinship, wouldn't it please You that I would connect those who connect you and sever those who sever you? And the kinship said, yes, it would please me. And then Allah Azza wa Jal said, this is for you and to you. And if you look at our times nowadays, it is so awkward because you find a lot of the Muslims severing their kinship. I know people that did not and do not speak to their uncles for ages, and they live in the same city. I know brothers, over a very silly thing, they do not talk to each other, and they tell their children not to talk to their uncles. So it's not sufficient that they sever their own kinship, they order their children also to share this major sin. It is a major sin to sever your kinship, and the Prophet said ﷺ, that the one who severs his kinship will not be entered to paradise. He will not be admitted to Jannah. لا يدخل الجنة قاطع. So it's a severe and a major sin. Every individual should have the intellect and should have the courtesy to pick up the phone and call those who sever you, and if they don't answer and if they are rude to you, alhamdulillah, you've done your best, and the ruder they are, the greater that is in your reward at the side of Allah Azza wa Jal. As for false testimony and withholding the testimony of truth, these are extremely visible nowadays, and you would find in the courts a lot of the so-called Muslims, and they're hypocrites, who would come and testify. Yes, I testify that he gave him all the loan, all the money, all the debt that he took from him. And the man did not, but he is being paid for that. Or he says that, yes, I testify that his mother is alive and his mother is dead, so that they take the money from the welfare on behalf of his mother. This is extremely popular around in courthouses in the Muslim world, and people don't fear this. The Prophet ﷺ was addressing his companions once, and he said, shall I tell you about the major sins of Islam? So they said yes. He said, Ash-shirku billah, associating others with Allah. 2, being disrespectful and disobedient to your parents. And he was leaning down on a couch, and then he sat properly and said, and testimony of falsehood and saying falsehood. And he kept on repeating it, testimony of falsehood and saying falsehood, testimony of falsehood and saying falsehood, until the companion said, we felt so sorry for him because he was so angry, we wish that he did not speak for his sake. So this shows you how severe this major sin is. The last one is to withhold a testimony, to hold it back, though you know that if you come forward and testified, that justice would be done, but you're withholding it and you're refusing to do it. For instance, you see someone stealing money from another, and the other one calls the police, and they ask him, do you have any witnesses? Do you have any proof that he stole your money? And you saw that, but you refrain. You say, I'm not going to speak. I'm going to withhold my testimony. Definitely, this is a sign of hypocrisy, and it is a sign that the day of judgment is approaching. I think we have a break, and after the break, we will get your phone calls, if any, inshallah, to answer your questions. So stay tuned.
Our aims in life, Allah.
There is an American sister who's very active in Da'wah in Egypt, told me personally that she traveled between Buddhism and Christianity and different sects, and when she came to read the Quran, she started by reading from right to left, Surah Al-Fatiha. She said, I swear, once I finished it, I fainted. I could not believe myself that there is such book that people were so negligent and ignorant about. That has to be the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And she said, I accepted Islam simply after reading Surah Al-Fatiha and knowing
the first chapter, 7 verses.
7 verses.
Allah, the Arabic itself, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke the Quran. So this is by itself is a medicine.
It is the word of
It's
Allah.
a word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It goes into the heart.
It was not created, rather Allah spoke it out.
Ramadan nights be blessed with welfare and forgiveness. Ramadan, Ramadan, Ramadan.
can't do that because you do not know what to say to them sometimes, at least you raise up your hand and ask Allah, oh Allah, please give guidance to this brother of mine. The importance of following Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. To follow our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam means you must understand his sunnah. Adinu Yusrun, Islam is a very easy religion, simple religion. So don't make religion difficult to yourself. I believe this hadith is very common to all of us. But the beauty part of this hadith, number one, it started by Umar al-Khattab saying, Sami'tu. Now again, I'd like to share with the brother and sister to understand the beauty of this saying of the companion.
Oh my Creator, oh Allah, fulfill our aims in life, Allah.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. You will see inshallah the phone numbers under the screen. If you have any questions related to this topic or any other topic, go ahead. The priority would be for these topics inshallah. And until we get the first caller, there are other signs, and one of them was mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ when he said that in my ummah there will come at the end of time. This means that it is a sign of the day of judgment, the hour. There will be men at the end of time in their hands whips as if they are the tails of cows. They go in Allah's anger and they come back in Allah's displeasure. Now, in other hadiths, it explained this. The Prophet ﷺ is talking to us about times where we will find policemen, security men with whips, and they go and come in Allah's displeasure and anger, meaning that their whole life displeases Allah Azza wa Jal because they're beating the people and they are torturing them. And this is found. Okay, we have Abdullah from Saudi Arabia.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Okay, I have relatives who is poor in my village. Okay, Shaykh. She asked financial help from me to build for their toilets.
Okay.
Then if I gave the amount which she needs, and I will deduct from my zakah, is this allowed and my zakah is accepted or not?
She wants these toilets for her house?
Yes, for the house.
And
because they cannot provide it, they cannot pay the labor for the toilet, so she's asking me to give her financial support.
Okay, I will answer
so
you.
I want to give and I deduct from my zakah. Is this allowed?
I will answer your question, inshallah.
Thank you, Sheikh.
You're welcome. Aisha from Saudi Arabia.
Hello?
Yes, Sister Aisha.
Hello, Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Mute your television, please, and speak to me from the phone.
Yes, sir. Yes, Sheikh.
Yes, what's your question, sister?
Yes, actually, what happens that I went to the Sail Kabir. I did for the Umrah. I made the intention, but I wasn't knowing that I will get my periods. So when I reached Jeddah, because from Jeddah because my in-laws were there, so by taking them, my in-laws, then we're going to Makkah. So what happened that I got my period. So at the time of my intention, when I made at the Miqat, Sail al-Kabir, I recited this in إِذَا حَبَسَنِي حَابِسًا فَمَحَلِّهَا حَيْثُ حَبَسَنِي. This I made the intention. So what happened that I thought that my ihram is not there. I'm made by I'm halal. So I did not know that. But then again, I talked to one of the sheikh. He told that no, you are in ihram. So now 7 days I have to pass that, but I know that this in Muharram that he should not use any fragrance, any soap or any fairy because I have to wash the dishes at home and clean house and clean my babies and all that. So what to do? There are a lot of problems because I can't use Dettol soap and all like that.
I will answer
so
the question, inshallah.
What to do? Can you help me? Because
I will, inshallah.
any perfume and any, I'm not using, but in the soaps there are Dettol soap and Fairy and Tide because I have to clean my home and all this utensils and all that. So what to do?
I understand.
I have to do. How can I protect myself in order to protect my haram like that?
Inshallah, I will answer your question. Abdullah, she's saying that in her village, a poor woman is requesting her assistance, financial assistance, to build toilets because they are unable to provide the financial means and they need toilets. People need toilets. So she says, can I give them from the zakat? If people don't have toilets in their houses, I would assume they're very poor or extremely needy. So if this is the case, if this woman is poor and needy and she needs a toilet, she needs a refrigerator, she needs something that would make her life easier, then it is permissible for you to give her from the zakat money what is sufficient to do that task. Sister Aisha was asking about a problem. She offered ihram and she said the dua, Allahumma labbaik Allahumma umrah fa in habasani habis, that if there were to be something to hold me back from completing my umrah, then I will return into the state of halal. I would not be in the state of haram or ihram. So I don't have to slaughter a sheep, I don't have to do anything, khalas, immediately I take off my clothes. And this was mentioned in the hadith of Duba'a bint al-Zubayr, may Allah be pleased with her, when she said, "Oh Prophet of Allah, I am sick, and I'm an old woman and I have problems, and I'm afraid I may have something to prevent me from doing this. So what should I do?" The Prophet told her to say this dua. Some scholars say that if a woman knows that her menses is approaching, she should not say this dua. Why? Because Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, when she went with the Prophet ﷺ for Hajj, she got her menses and the Prophet told her not to go around the Kaaba in tawaf and to do everything else. So Aisha did not say the dua. And this is a very strong opinion of scholars, but the way I see it, as long as it's considered to be a barrier stopping a woman from continuing to do her umrah and she is afraid of that, and she made this condition, Allah Azza wa Jal is most forgiving and He gives her what she was afraid of and exempts her from that. So the way I see it, you are in the state of halal, you have no problem in doing what you normally do. And as a footnote, you said that I need to wash the dishes, the clothes with detergents, and they have perfume, they have scent in it. It is permissible even for a person in the state of ihram to wash clothes or to use detergents to wash the dishes, and these are not considered to be perfume. No one in his sound mind, before going to a wedding or before going to visit friends, goes and washes his body with Tide, for example, because of the scent. People would usually wear perfumes for that. Okay, so I believe in your case, inshallah, you are in the state of halal. Going back to the signs of the hour, again, in so many Muslim countries, we have the security forces to be the oppressors. And whenever there is a riot, whenever there is any sort of objection, you would find the police, the security, the riot police with batons, not even whips like the tails of camels, but real hard batons, and they strike people and they hit them. And we've seen what they've done in the 80s, Rodney King, who passed away a month ago, and what this sparked. We see this clearly in the Arab world and in the Muslim world, because the individuals don't have rights there. They don't have honor and dignity. In most of these places, they are looked down upon. So the Prophet is telling us that those who do this, they are going and coming back, meaning that they are living in Allah's anger and Allah's displeasure. Among the signs that were mentioned in Hadith Auf ibn Malik, the Prophet said ﷺ, that there will be an illness, an epidemic that spreads among you like it spreads among the herd of sheep. A specific illness that the Prophet called and named ﷺ, that kills the sheep in hundreds and thousands in numbers. We have Asia from Saudi Arabia.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I have one question.
Okay.
When Imam recite in Qunut Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name and praises Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and in Qiyam also, when the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's praise come, that time what should I do? I mean, especially in Qunut, I feel just to say Ameen, 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 or to say something else. Please guide me.
Okay, I will, inshallah. Wa jazaka. Ahmed from Saudi Arabia. Ahmed from Saudi Arabia. Ahmed.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Yeah, Sheikh, how are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah.
Sheikh, I want to ask one question.
Okay.
It's about zakat. Can I give zakat in form of food?
Okay, I will answer your question, inshallah. Sister Asia had a question, and she said that when the Imam in Qunut praises Allah Azza wa Jal, he's not supplicating, he just praises Allah. So we know that when he says, Allahumma hdina fi man hadayt, we say Ameen. وعافنا في من عافيت وتولنا في من توليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا شر ما قضيت فإنك. So now I'm not supplicating, I'm saying that, oh Allah, فإنك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك إنه لا يذل من واليت ولا يعز من عاديت تباركت ربنا وتعالى. Here I'm not supplicating, I'm just praising Allah Azza wa Jal. So in the previous phrases I used to say Ameen, Ameen, Ameen. But when he says that, oh Allah, those whom you honor would not be humiliated, and those who you disgrace will not be honored. This is not supplication. So what should I do? Should I say Ameen? Some people say Subhanak. Some people even go a little bit further and say Haqqan, Sidqan, Adlan. All of this has no authenticity to it. And that is why the scholars say it's an open topic. It's an open subject. If you want to say Ameen, this can be said because it's related to praising Allah in the previous 5 or 4 phrases. And if you want to say Subhanak, glorifying Allah Azza wa Jal, it's okay. Personally, I don't say anything. I just listen and praise Allah in my heart. So it's open, inshallah, for all. As for the Quran, it's a different issue. In the Quran, the Prophet ﷺ it was narrated to us that the Prophet, whenever he passed by a verse that mentions Allah's grace, mercy, and paradise, the Prophet usually would say, whenever he recites the ayah, the verse, he would say, Allahumma inni as'aluka min fadlik. Oh Allah, I seek you from your favors and blessing. And whenever he passed by a verse that included torment, hell, or punishment, he would seek Allah's refuge from such a thing. And this was his habit during night prayer. So it is recommended if you can find time. Unfortunately, our imams recite in a speed of 200 miles per hour. So they recite the Quran in so fast fashion that it doesn't give you time to ponder. All what it gives you time to is to look in the watch and say, okay, 2 minutes left, 1 minute left. So this is wrong to be done by the imams. They should recite the Fatiha in a very short, in a very slow and pondering way, and also the surahs. But if they don't give you time, then you cannot do this, unfortunately. Abdul Kareem from Saudi Arabia.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam wa rahmatullah.
Yes, how are you, Sheikh?
I'm fine, Jazakallah khair.
Yeah, I have two questions.
Okay.
The first question is, am I allowed to visit one of my relatives who take interest or who have taken interest in the past and now they have stopped? And when the interest money, they have built up properties, and the rent comes. Basically, the income is the rent which they have built through those properties.
Okay.
So, is there food or
I
or
understand.
any kind of gifts halal to me? Or even if I go, is it okay if I go to stay at their house?
Your second question.
Or is it because one of my friends had told me that there is a hadith which says even the shelter of the person
I will answer your question
takes
after.
interest is not allowed, or we're not supposed to take the shelter of the house.
Okay, second question.
And the second question is on the zakat on gold. Is it in what form, or if we're not wearing the gold for the past 2-3 years or more than that, are we supposed to pay zakat on that?
Okay, I will answer your question, inshallah. Sister Aisha from Saudi Arabia.
Hello?
Yes, sister.
Yes.
Mute your television.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Listen to me from the phone.
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask that actually regarding this menses, I told you, right? The thing is because at the time of intention I told that I made this dua, but I wasn't knowing that because 7 days have passed, I didn't got my menses. But still, I thought that in this month maybe I will not get my menses. That's why I made my intention, and then I went Jeddah, then I started my menses. So I removed my ihram, and then I applied idar and all that. So I thought I was halal, but when I talked to another sheikh, he told that no, you are in ihram. So any fidya I have to give, or I am in state of halal, or now again I came back to Taif. Now I'm at my house. So now
allow me.
Again to my house to Sail al-Kabir, and then I have to again make my intention, or my previous intention is enough for me.
Yeah, Aisha. No, wait.
Children that they like to watch much of cartoons and all that, and I want them to be always to be Islamic and read Quran and all that. So how can I teach them in which order I can make them Islamic teachings like that?
Can you hear me? Aisha, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, listen to me. When you were in the Sail al-Kabir and you said, oh Allah Azza wa Jalla, labbaik Allahumma umrah, and إذا حبسني حابس فمحلي حيث حبستني. Did you say these together?
Yes.
And you were afraid that you will get your menses?
Yeah. Because actually the date was that before 7 days, my date was there, but 7 days has passed. Still, I did not get my menses. That's why I made intention that maybe in this month I will not get my menses. That's why I made the intention.
Yes, and it came the following day.
Yes.
Khalas, you're halal. You don't have to worry about anything or any fidya. You are halal. What the sheikh told you is a respected opinion of scholars. I differ with that opinion, and I believe that you're saying that statement is sufficient, so you have nothing to worry about. And I will answer your question about the cartoons later on, inshallah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Ahmed Farah from Saudi Arabia.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamullah.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
And to you as well.
How are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Your question, please?
Alhamdulillah. Yes, I want to ask because I am in here working, and inshallah in December my husband will come for visiting visa for 1 week. I just want to ask, is it possible for us to do, inshallah we will stay in Jeddah, is it possible for us to do every day Umrah, and it is okay? When we will do this Ihram and Miqat like this, we should go to Miqat and something like that.
Okay, I will answer your question, inshallah. Okay, Ahmed, she's asking, can we give zakat in the form of food? The answer is no. Zakat money must be given from the same money. So you have to give cash, and the individual, the poor person, he knows best what to do with it. In only limited cases, it is permissible when the person, the poor, is abusing the money. So if he's a drug addict, or he smokes, or he would utilize the money of zakat in something that is haram, he doesn't know what's good for him. In this case, we would tell him, listen, I have 1,000 riyals of zakat. would you like me to pay you your rent, or give money to the electricity bill, or buy you food? And if he tells me do this and I do it, this is halal. Inshallah, and in other limited cases. Abdul Karim, she's saying that she has a relative who deals in riba, or used to. The answer is, even if someone related to you deals in riba, his income is not 100% haram. It has 90% and 10%, 80, 20, depending. So you have no problem in going there, eating there, staying with them. The benefit of the food and of the luxuries and the gifts they give you is for you, and the sin and the burden of the haram money is on them. So you have no problem in going there, none whatsoever. Okay. Okay, we have Umar from Saudi Arabia. Turn down your TV and listen to me from the phone. Wa alaikum assalam. Yes, Umar. Wa alaikum assalam.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, if we read a verse of the Quran where there's sajda and we are in a car, for example, we cannot make sajda, what should we do?
Okay, I will answer your question, inshallah. Khadija? Sister Khadija?
Hello?
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum,
Sheikh. How
are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah.
Sheikh, I have two sons, one of 11 years old and the other one of 8 years. They're going to Madrasa Al-Furqan in Jeddah for completing their hifz. I would like to know how exactly can I go ahead with the further knowledge of Islam, so that they can, our intention is they should be scholars, inshallah, for the future, and they too have the same intentions. So could you please guide us to which exact direction can we lead them towards, so that they can learn real right things,
inshallah,
and do not get indulged with shirk or what we have misconceptions about in our country?
Inshallah, I will try my level best if time allows me, inshallah, with the will of Allah. Abdul Karim had a question about gold, and she's saying that even if I don't wear it, do I have to pay zakat for it? The one that you do not wear, no difference among scholars that you have to pay zakat. The difference is the one that you wear usually. And the most authentic opinion that you have to pay zakat for the gold, whether you wear it or whether you do not, because gold and silver, they are the essence of the financial institution in the whole world. So without gold, everything revolves around gold and silver, and the answer is yes, you have to give zakat for both. Aisha is saying that her children watch cartoons and she wants them to recite the Quran and to be involved in more knowledge. Cartoon is every child's wish, and sometimes every adult's wish. They enjoy it. It makes them live in a world of fantasy. If you cannot substitute that with something that is halal, something that is lucrative for them and appealing, then you have a problem. One of the easiest ways is to remove television altogether, or to remove the channels that you do not desire and only keep the Islamic channels. But this might be a little bit difficult. Other means is to give them half an hour a day only, to ration it, so that they would know that this is for their leisure, but then to focus them more on reciting the Quran and encouraging them and giving them incentives. This is a very long and difficult process, but unfortunately we have no other alternative. Farah is asking that her husband is coming. They want to go for Umrah every day. This is not advisable, especially in Ramadan. Yani we should not do this. As we can see, the Haram is fully packed. Muslims are coming from all over the world. Do it once and this is enough. For your husband, if he wants to do it twice, maybe, but then his miqat should be from when he's coming on the airplane. He should make his ihram, and then he should go for Umrah and come back to Jeddah. And afterwards, his miqat would become Jeddah after the first Umrah. But the first Umrah has to be from his original miqat. And I do not advise repeating the Umrah more than once a month. Umar is saying that if we're in a car and we're reciting the Quran and we pass by an ayah with sajda, what to do? Nothing. Because a sajda is not mandatory. Prostrating for recitation, this is not mandatory. It is highly recommended. But if you don't do it, it's okay. Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, did this once in a Friday, and he prostrated and everyone prostrated with him, and he recited a verse with sajda while in the sermon of Friday, but he did not recite, and he said to the people that this is the sunnah. Whoever wants to recite it would do, and if you don't want, then it is not mandatory. And finally, Khadija is asking that she has two sons, adolescents, and they are young, 6 and 8, I think, and she would like to prepare them to be scholars and students of knowledge in the future. How to go about this? This is maybe too early, or this is the right time to do it. I don't have time to elaborate because we are approaching to a close, but you have to focus on what appeals to them. You have to buy them special books for their age about the history of Islam, about the prophets, about the interpretation of the Quran, about the stories of the companions. You have to build an environment to them so that they love this. You have to sit with them half an hour a day, teach them about fiqh, about jurisprudence, about the interpretation of the verses of the Quran, the commentary, but not a lot. Just give them hints so that they would grow up wanting to acquire more. And then after their normal school, there is always the Jami'ah, the Islamic University, or Al-Qura University, or Imam Muhammad Ibn Saud University in Saudi Arabia, if you can apply for a scholarship. And meanwhile, always consult with the scholars if they have circles of knowledge that they can attend, if there are summer camps that would incubate them and have them in an Islamic environment so that they would have Muslim and practicing friends and families around them. All of these will, inshallah, prepare them for to be future scholars. May Allah Azza wa Jal make them and all our children among the scholars of Islam. This is all the time we have until we meet you tomorrow. في أمان الله والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
My Creator, oh Allah, fulfill our aims in life, Allah. Forgive our sins, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, the most gracious. Oh Allah, the most gracious. Ya Wasi al-Karami. Oh my Creator, oh Allah, fulfill our aims in life, Allah. Forgive our sins, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, the most gracious. Oh Allah, the most gracious.